It was the promise of good money and a glamorous lifestyle that lured Annie Lobert into becoming a high-class call girl. Instead, her life was marked by physical abuse, rape, and drug addiction. In her book, Fallen, Annie tells how she survived more than a decade in the sex industry and how God gave her a second chance at life.
Now tell us how you entered into the sex industry. In your book, you talk about you went as an alter ego, Fallon.
I did.
Now, who was she and what did she do?
You know, I think all of us have alter egos, by the way. So it was really easy for me to be that girl that everyone saw in school, that smile, that happy cheerleader. And the only thing I did different was the real person that I was and the broken girl that I was because of the family abuse by a close family friend sexually, and then obviously some brokenness in high school with some boys that I had slept with, that I came out of high school completely bitter and just very revengeful. I was like, I am woman, hear me roar. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to make it my life, become a corporate businesswoman. And so when I started selling myself, and by the way, I invited myself into the industry. My girlfriend taught me. There was no sex trafficker to lure me, even though she was lured by a sex trafficker. In the very beginning, I was free, I was strong, I was independent, smart, articulate, intelligent. And Fallon was the name I chose because of a show on television. A lady was named Fallon, and she was beautiful, articulate, sexy, chic, and I wanted to be her. And for me to do what I did, see, when you sell yourself, a piece of you dies. A piece of your soul and spirit gets taken with you every time you sell yourself. So you become this very, very insecure, afraid person that starts to slowly hate yourself. So you cover it up, you wear a mask, and her name was Fallon.
Now, as you mentioned, you entered the industry because of money. And actually, you wanted to pay for college.
I did.
But what you thought you could control actually ended up controlling you, and you went through hell. You were abused, you were raped, you were held at gunpoint, you went to jail. And, you know, for someone listening who is thinking of entering the sex industry because of money, what would you tell them?
I think money is such a lie. And materialism, you could never take anything that you accumulate with money with you. Okay, your nice clothing, your beautiful hair, your nice car, your jewelry, your house, and even your career, making a lot of money. It is so fleeting. Fast money made quickly is actually a curse. And when you learn how to make fast money, what I would say to someone out there that wants to enter this industry is it's a dangerous trap because it's like quicksand. Once you step your foot in the pool of money, it sucks you in because it gives you power, it gives you control, it gives you this false sense of security that will be stripped away basically overnight if you're not careful.
Now, speaking of money, I want to read a portion from your book that I thought was really profound. It was actually a turning point in your story. And you said, money will never love you back, no matter how hard you try to make it. It will never be there for you while you're in jail, be your doctor when you're sick, hug you when all your friends and family have rejected you, or be able to save your life if you're dying. Only Jesus can do that. Now, how did Jesus do that?
I never thought that Jesus loved me the whole time I was selling myself. And I think that's what happens to a lot of us when we sell ourselves. And we don't have to be prostitutes to understand this. We don't have to be sex trafficking victims to understand that the reason why we do this to ourselves is because we don't believe God loves us. And my turning point was overdosing on cocaine and falling on the floor and realizing that the only one that could take me out of my own depravity, my own sickness, my own critical mass that happened was the love of God. And when I reached out to Jesus, it's like he showed up more than I could ever imagine. He showed up and gave me peace and joy that I never could accumulate with money, no matter what I did with my life. It's so hard to explain this epiphany that happened with God, but let me just say one thing. I became the most happiest girl on the earth when I accepted him into my heart and surrendered fully. And I have not stopped going full force chasing God since.
Now, Jesus pulled you out of this industry, and you talk about in your book you had an encounter with him, and after he pulled you out, he sent you back. Now tell us about your organization and what you're doing with girls now.
I have an organization called Hookers for Jesus, and it's based on Matthew 4:19. I will teach you how to fish for people. The first 4 disciples were fishermen, so what a perfect name, especially since my past, I used to be a hooker. So it has a dual meaning. But what we do is we go out into the strip and we tell the girls that God loves them. Very simple message. I think that most of the girls and most of the men in the industry do not know this. And I think if they did know it, they probably would want to eventually get out of the industry, because I know for a fact that the clothes, the money, the jewelry, the amount of men that I saw never fulfilled that deep need inside of my heart, which was empty.
Now, for someone watching, whether they're in the industry as a prostitute or a pimp, or they're a pleasure seeker, or even just a pornography watcher, and they actually want to get out of it, but they don't know how, what's the one thing you would tell them to get out?
I would tell whoever's in the industry and wanting to get in the industry, or they're stuck in the industry, is that the only answer for me was surrendering my life, getting on my knees and asking God inside my heart, asking God to change my circumstance, asking him to send me the right people to help me get out of it. It's one name, and his name's Jesus, and that's what will rescue out. You can say that prayer and God will move mountains for you. He will. He'll send you the right people to help you. And if you really want to get out, it will happen. We can never forget that Jesus was reaching out to people like us, that his whole heart was not to hang out with the people in the church full time. He wanted to be in the street, in the bars, in the midst of the people that knew that the church wasn't going to do it for him, because it was religion. He was never about religion. He was always about that love relationship. And I think that if people understood that, more people would come to Christ. More people would surrender their lives, and this world would change dramatically. The love of God changes all of us.